What's up, y'all? I don't know if y'all can hear the fan in the background or what. It doesn't seem to be showing up based on the waveform, but if y'all can't hear it, I don't give a fuck, man. It's hot as hell. Where the fuck I'm at? I gotta have the fan on. Ain't no AC in this bitch, man. But really, I had got on here and I was gonna rant and rave about how fucking soft people are, how fucking bitch made people are, how hypermasculinity is also a form of bitch assery and wholeness. Because if you're hypermasculine, you're just scared to be vulnerable. It's like, bro, you scared of your feelings, bro? You scared of the feelings that your body have you feel, bro? You scared of your own body, bro? Okay, Mr. Alpha Male. But ultimately, as soon as I go to say things out loud or I think I'm going to go on some unhinged rant, all of a sudden, here comes my understanding, you know, and compassion, god damn it, and empathy. I mean, it is annoying. I'm not gonna lie. Like the amount of just lack of self belief that I see, and the amount of fear that I see in people. But it's also from a place of my own bias. You know, I have my own fears. I've had my own blockages towards doing what I wanted to, or showing up in full, or believing in myself. So I can't judge people for these things, even though, you know, it annoys me, especially when it's a fear that I don't have or a fear that doesn't make sense to me, but it's not my body, it's not my life, so it doesn't have to make sense to me. And honestly, it's probably a fear that doesn't even make sense to them. You know, a lot of time when we examine our fears and we question them in a intelligent manner, you know, it's like, oh, you know, that fear is kind of dumb. Really, fear is kind of stupid in general, especially always when it, for me, like when it extends past a singular moment. Because you make your best decisions when you're relaxed. So that means you should be relaxed as often as possible. When you're calm, the natural tendency of the body and the body, mind, the spirit is to learn and to grow. But it can only do that when you're calm, when your parasympathetic nervous system is dominant, when you are in rest and digest mode. When you're afraid and in fight or flight, then you're just producing stress hormones that in excess show up as toxins. And your body has to deal with getting them out, but then you can't remain calm, which is how you engage your detoxification processes. And so it's a negative feedback loop of not only ingesting toxins through food and the environment and everything like that, but also not maximizing your detoxification process and producing toxins of your own internally. So you're ingesting toxins from the external environment and producing toxins in your own body, and you know that's just a recipe for disaster. And that's why we have so many unhealthy people walking around. That's why it's a spirit of fear, using fear as the primary motivating factor in your life is inherently destructive. I believe fears is there for a reason, but it's there for a specific reason. We're not supposed to just be generally afraid all of the time. And that's really what annoys me when people are just like generally afraid like all of the time. Um, But we have to understand that each of us has our own biases, our own experiences. Why we are afraid is differs from person to person. But it's like the general fear that keeps you from enjoying life or even attempting to do things is, it's very dangerous and it's very limiting. And is how could you say you're really alive if your fear is so great that you're afraid to experiment, afraid to try things. If you do not believe in yourself, if you do not believe in your ability to do things, and I'm not going to victim blame here because ultimately I don't think that fear is extended fear, general fear, anxiety, overthinking. I don't think it's natural. And I think it has been implanted in most of our subconscious minds from when we were young children, and society raised us the wrong way. It raised us using negative energy and fear as the primary motivating factors for behavior. And so that becomes an ingrained habit from when we're very young, from basically for most of us, because we didn't really have great parents, or we didn't have great environments, or we weren't able to receive the type of nurturing and care that would have allowed us to grow into healthy adults. These habits, these unbeneficial habits, are ingrained into our nervous system. And so that's why they say the process of maturation is a lot of unlearning. It's a lot of letting go. It's a lot of freeing yourself from the imprisoning ideas that hold you back from being your best self, from believing in yourself, from loving yourself, from showing yourself compassion, and from not being afraid to live life, not being afraid to listen to your gut, listen to your intuition, not being afraid to experiment, not being afraid to try things. And, it's all about the energy of intention. Because if you use fear to try things, not a great intention, not a great motivation. If you use fear to not try things, not a great intention, not a great motivation. So, whether fear is causing you to try to distract yourself from your deep rooted feelings of maybe inadequacy, of insecurity, by running towards stuff, by being an adrenaline junkie, by constant distraction, or your feelings of inadequacy, your insecurity, and your deep rooted fear causes you to not do anything, to be afraid to try anything, to experiment, to make mistakes and everything like that. You don't believe in your ability to learn from mistakes or to bounce back from them, then they might be two separate cases, relatively speaking, but ultimately they both result from fear. And they both result from fear being a motivating factor behind your choices. So, however that fear expresses itself, however that fear shows up in your choices, ultimately you're going to have to get to the root of the issue. And the root of the issue is fear is your motivating factor. You're not motivated by faith. You're not motivated by flow. You're not motivated by love. You're not motivated by trust. You're motivated by fear. And that's going to hold you back. That's going to keep you from enjoying life. It's going to keep you from letting go of tension because you have convinced yourself, the world has convinced you that tension is necessary. That tension is necessary for you to be a human, for you to be alive, for you to make sense, to be motivated to chase outside validation in order to prove your worth to the world, that you're worthy of life, that you're worthy of existence. That's what I think it is. I think that from a very young age, because we're not accepted immediately for who we are, however that who shows up, we believe that, especially in the U.S. society, where you grow up getting measured all the time. How tall are you? How much do you weigh? What are your grades? Blah 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 blah. You're getting measured all the time, so of course you start to measure yourself by these dumbass standards, and so everything becomes a opportunity to prove your worth. Everything becomes an opportunity to show people that you're worthy of life, that you're worthy of existence. But the thing is, from being born, the universe, the higher power, has already said that you are worthy of life. So many things had to happen for you to be alive that it doesn't make sense for you to come into life and be like, oh, I have to prove I'm worthy of being alive. Um, Inherently, in the fact that you even manifested, that's saying that the universe chose you to live this life, to come alive. So to discredit the higher powers creations, the higher powers judgment, or whatever you want to call it, or the higher powers creative instinct, uh, it's a decision, whether you want to say it's a intentional decision or a random lucky decision, whatever the decision was made. You came into life, you became alive, you have an existence. um, Inherently you are worthy of that existence. You don't have to prove shit to nobody. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to prove shit to yourself. You don't have to prove shit to society. You know, society is just hierarchies that egotistical people put into place out of fear because they wanted to feel some modicum of control over life and over other people. You know, instead of being given influence, they believed they had to take influence, and they fucked up society because of it. They fucked up society because of their insecurities, because of their fear, and because of their, lack of love for themselves, which ultimately has to manifest in a lack of love for others, and a lack of personal liberation, which causes you to not want to see others liberated ultimately. Because even if you go to liberate others, if you feel like there's a certain way they should behave or you're judging them, then you're going to say, no, you have to do it like this, you should do it like this, blah, blah, blah. There is a lack of trust there. That means that your motivations for freeing others is not really to free them, but to put them in a different type of prison. Uh, so yeah, originally I was just gonna rant rave about, how people are so fucking soft and lame, and it's fucking up society because we got all these nepo babies who've been coddled since they were young, in charge of shit, which all is all true. There's definitely a lack of stick to itiveness, or get her done, keep going mindset in society. But the thing is, there's also a hustle culture in society, like ignore your feelings to keep grinding, keep going, blah blah blah, all that type of shit. So it's like both are wrong, you know, but they're both symptoms of the ultimate issue, which is people are motivated by fear. People fear sitting and trying to come to understanding of themselves, of their feelings. People fear asking themselves deep questions, and people fear. They are afraid that they are not smart enough or worthy enough to come up with answers that make sense, come up with answers that um, make them feel comfortable, so they continue to look to the world to give them answers, or they end up finding an answer that the world gave them and that makes them comfortable for some period of time, but ultimately that feeling of unease, that feeling of insecurity, that feeling of imbalance and fear born from fear. It just lurks under the surface, waiting for an opportunity to sweep you off your feet, to pull the rug from out from under you. So we have people having midlife crises, existential crises, can't get out of bed, things of that nature. Because you can't run from what's inside you, ultimately. The way out is in, as Thich Nhat Hanh would say, Vietnamese monk, Zen Buddhist. Um, yeah, ultimately, it's all about liberating yourself and learning to trust yourself because, like, I've been having this thought a lot. Like, you think your body doesn't know how to breathe? You think your body doesn't know how to move? You think your body doesn't know how to sit? You think your body doesn't know how to learn? You think your body doesn't know how to grow? You think your body doesn't know how to rest, to recover? All of these things are inherently in our genetic code. If we didn't have these things, we wouldn't have been able to survive through thousands or millions of years, whatever the fuck you believe. Um, so let your body do its job. Let your unconscious mind, let your nervous system relax, be calm, and put you in position to listen to your instinct, listen to your intuition. Your unconscious mind is going to take into account what you have learned, but your conscious mind can actually block you from accessing what you have learned. So it's like there's supposed to be a balance. Your body, really, we should be led by our body and our conscious mind, our conscious awareness. Um, we need to stop overthinking and start thinking so we can influence our body in the proper direction so we can have a proper balance internally. But in order to do that, you have to use a free spirit to integrate your body and mind, to stop thinking them as separate. Even though, relatively speaking, based on conventional wisdom, we could say, oh, your body is this, your mind and thoughts are blah, blah, blah. Ultimately, it's all based on feelings. Ultimately, it's all based on your nervous system. And until you stop overthinking and putting a wedge between your body and your mind, your thoughts and your body, blah, 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 and realize that they are the same and that you need to relax both in order to allow your intuition to make the best and most beneficial decision in the present moment and guide you the way that you are supposed to be divinely guided, the way you are called to go, things just aren't going to make sense to you. Life isn't going to make sense. You're always going to be trying to make sense of life when you have to let go of making sense and should in order for things to fall into place. So I wish you guys the best. I hope you guys examine your motivations, your intentions. I hope you guys relax, calm your body, calm your mind, so your spirit and your mind and your body can do what it is naturally meant to be, which is receive wisdom, receive insight, receive lessons, learn, grow from whatever happens. All right. Have a good one.